Right, hi everyone. Short data learn objective, please. And then we'll get on with the lesson. Okay, press pause while you do that and then play when you're done. Right, so as you can see, we're adding and subtracting fractions to the different denominators. We have done this before. We're only going to spend one lesson on this, so we're going to go through it really quickly. Okay, really quickly. First of all, let's look at equivalent fractions. You have to understand equivalent fractions first. So here we have a pizza, okay? 1/4 of that pizza is shaded in, isn't it? One part out of 4 altogether. So one part out of 4 is shaded. And then if I do this, if I shade the same amount on this pizza, okay, you can see in this case 2 parts have been shaded. 2 parts out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in total, isn't it? So they are equivalent. You've eaten the same amount of pizza on both. Okay, equivalent fractions. And how they work is, if you have a look, if I go from there to there, if I times the bottom by 2, I get 8. If I do the same to the top, I get, and times it by 2, times the 1 by 2, I get 2/8. So you can always, if you times the bottom by the same as, and you times the top by the same number as you times the bottom by, you will get an equivalent fraction. And what an equivalent fraction means is that they are the same size. Okay, they might be split into different amounts, but if you compare it to pizza, if you have, for example, 3/5 of a pizza, or you have 9/15 of a pizza, that means it's cut into 5 pieces. The whole pizza is cut into 5 and you eat 3 of them. Then the whole pizza is cut into 50 and you eat 9 of them. Now they are the same, because to get from 5 to 3 I times by 3, 3 to 9 times by 3. Okay, so we'll just practice a few of those. We will practice a few of those just to make sure we know what we're doing. So let's have a little look. So if I wanted to turn 2/3, I want to turn that into 9ths. I can see how am I getting from the 2 to the 3. I'm timesing by 3. I do the same to the top. Times by 3. I get 6/9. Okay. If I wanted to turn 1/4 into 16ths, 1/4 is how many 16ths? How am I getting from the 4 to the 16? I'm timesing by 4. I have to do the same to the top. Times by 4. These are equivalent fractions. They're the same size. Whatever I do to the bottom, I do the top, or vice versa. Actually, now I've got 3/5, and I want to turn 3/5 into an equivalent fraction over 25. Okay, how am I getting from 5 to 25? Times it by 5, because I've times the bottom by 5, the denominators by 5. And times the numerator by 5 as well, 15. So these are all equivalent fractions. Okay, it means they are the same. They are the same size. They are the same size. Okay, right. Have a quick go at. Just so I know you can do these. Could you please convert these fractions? Okay, got a lot to get through actually. Number 1. 3/4 equals how many 8ths? Number 2, 2/5 equals how many 15ths? And number 3, 3/4 equals how many 20ths? Just write those out in full, please. Pause the video while you do those, and then press play. Excuse me. Right, let's quickly go over them. So as you can see, if I'm turning quarters into 8ths, I'm timesing by 2, because 4 times 2 is 8. So I do the same to the top, times 2, I get 6. The same here, timesing it by 3. 5 times 3 is 15. I have to do the same to the top, 6/15. Okay, what am I timesing 4 by? 4 times 5. And I do the same there, times it by 5, 15/20. Okay, so you should have that for those answers. Okay, right, let's have a quick look at then, before again we get into the adding and subtraction, what do we call this type of fraction? Okay, I can hear you shouting out almost. What do we call this type of fraction? It is an improper fraction, okay? So we just need to get into the habit, remember, of turning these into mixed numbers. All we do with this, we say, how many tens go into 17? So 1 10 goes into 17, and it's remainder 7, isn't it? So 1 and 7 tenths, okay? You could have 9 over 5. How many 5s go into 9? 1, and the remainder is 4. Okay, we have done these before, where we're converting from improper fractions to mixed numbers. This is an improper fraction, we turn into a mixed number. So if you ever got an answer when you're adding your doing your work of 17 tenths, you need to turn it into a mixed number where you've got a whole number and a fraction. Okay, you could have 7 quarters. How many 4s in 7? 1, remainder 3. You can have bigger numbers as well. You can have 21 tenths. Okay, how many tens in 22? Remainder 1, 2 and a tenth. Okay, so remember, how many times does the bottom number go to the top number, and then you put your remainder on the top. Okay, going through these quickly, but we have done them before. Okay, we have done them before. Right, have a go at these, please. Okay, can you turn these improper fractions into mixed numbers, please? Into mixed numbers. Sorry, that's the wrong. No, that's the right one. Yep. 5 over 3, 13 over 4. Off you go, please. Pause the video while you do that and have a go at those. Okay. Right, let's have a look. Okay. How many 5s into 7? 1. 5 is 5. So, and then it's remainder 2. Okay. How many 3s go into 5? It goes into once, because 1 3 is 3, and the remainder is 2. How many 4s in 13? 4, 4, 8, 12. So that's 3. Okay, and then I've got up to 12. So the remainder is 1, 3 and a quarter. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's get on to the adding and subtracting. So this is easy. Okay. 2 sixths plus 3 sixths equals 5 sixths. If I have 2 sixths, a pizza split into 6 parts, if I have 2 of those parts for lunch, and then I have 3 for dinner, in total I've eaten 5 sixths of pizzas. This is easy because the denominators are the same, the bottom number is the same in our fraction. And this is what we have to do when we go to trickier questions. Okay, we have to make sure the bottom number, the denominators, are the same. Adding and subtraction fractions are easy as long as those denominators are the same. So the key in the work we're going to do today is making sure we make the denominators the same. So let's have a quick look. So say for example I've got let's go with 1/2 plus 1/4. Now I can't just do, well, 2 plus 4 is 6 and 1 plus 1 is 2. No, I cannot do that. Okay, so what I have to do, as we found earlier when we had 2 sixths plus 3 sixths, that was easy because the denominators are the same. So we have to now make these denominators the same. Now I'm going to look here and I'm going to see, well, I can see that 2 goes into 4. I'm looking at the number with the smallest denominator. Will that smallest denominator go into the bigger number? And in this case it will. So I know I can, that means I can turn 1/2 into quarters. So just by the side, if you can do it in your head, do it in your head. But just by the side, I'm going to, or just anywhere else on your page, I'm going to do 1/2 is equal to how many quarters? Because I'm turning my halves into quarters. How am I going from there to there? It's an equivalent fraction times by 2. The same to the top, times by 2. So I now know that this 1/2 is equal to 2 quarters. I personally like to work downwards on this, so I'm going to just do a little arrow. So that's 2 quarters. And I'm going to just bring down my 1/4 here. So you can see I've turned my half into 2 quarters, and now it's easy. 2 quarters and 1/4, 3 quarters. Okay. All right, let's do another one. Let's go with what about let's go with 2/3. That's probably a question we got later on, but never mind. 2/3 plus 11/12. 2/3 plus 11/12. Again, these are different. These denominators are different, so I know it's going to be tricky. And then I'm looking at my smaller denominator. Will my smaller denominator go into my bigger denominator? 3, 6, 9, 12. Yes, it will. So that means I'm going to turn my 2/3 into 12ths. Okay, 2/3 into 12ths. How am I going to do that? How do I get 3 towards 3 and get from 3 to 12? Times it by 4, isn't it? 3 times 4 is 12. So I do the same on the other side, times it by 4, and that gives me 8. So that tells me 2/3 is the same as 8/12. So underneath, I just do my little arrow, 8/12. Okay, I can rub that out now. Plus 11/12. Okay, because that stays the same. So I've just put these into equivalent fractions. Now I know my denominators will stay the same. Okay. And then I just add up along my numerators along the top. Okay, so that would be 19/12. Now I'm not going to be happy with just 19/12 because I have to put that into a mixed number. How many 12s in 19? 1 12 is 12, so that's 1, and then 12 up to 19 is 7, so it's remainder 7. So the answer is 1 and 7/12. Okay. 1 and 7/12. Right. Let's have a go at, we'll do one more. Okay, let's go with 3/15 plus 4/5. Now again, I can see here that my smallest number, it doesn't matter whether my smallest denominator is it doesn't matter what side it is, but this is my smallest one. I can see they're not the same. Will my smallest denominator go into my biggest? Yes, it will. Okay, I can see the 5 does go to 15, so I know I can turn 4/5 into 15. So let's do that down here. 4/5 equals how many 15ths is that? Well, how am I getting from the 5 to the 15? Times in by 3, times in by 3. So I got 12/15. So I know now my 4/5 is equal to 12/15. They are equivalent fractions. So I do my 3/15 plus 12/15 gives me 15/15. How many 15s in 15? 1. So it's a whole one, isn't it? It's the whole thing, 15/15. That's 15. If you split a pizza into 15 parts and you had every single part, you had all 15 parts, you've eaten the whole pizza. Okay. Right. Have a go at some of these yourself, okay? And then we will just go on to some other slightly tricky ones. So have a go, please, at number 1, 2/3 plus 1/4. Number 2, 4/5 minus in fact we won't go to those ones yet, so I've jumped ahead. So number 1, 1/8 plus 1/4. Number 2, 1/3 plus 2/9. Number 3, 7/10 minus 1/5. Okay, pause the video, have a go at those, please. Okay, pause the video, have a go at those, and then we'll go through them. Right, okay, good. Okay, so I'm going to turn this 1/4. I can see the 4 goes into 8, so I'm going to turn this into 8s. 1/4 equals how many 8s? I'm timesing by 2, times by 2, 2/8. So I'm going to turn that to 2/8. So it becomes 1/8 plus 2/8 equals 3/8 on that first one. Okay. Here I can see the 3 goes into the 9, so I'm going to turn 1/3 equals how many ninths? Timesing by 3, do the same to the top, times by 3, 3/9. Okay, so it becomes 3/9 plus 2/9 equals answer for the second one, 5/9. Okay, and then the same, let's have a look at this last one. I know the 5 goes into the 10. Okay, so I'm going to turn 1/5 equals how many tenths? Timesing by 2, timesing by 2 equals 2/10. Okay, so that tells me 7/10 minus 2/10 will give me 5/10. And if I wanted to, I could simplify that to a half. Okay, same thing. Okay, right. Now, hopefully you were okay with those. Now we have done them before, but it was quite a while ago actually. It was quite a while ago. I'm not sure whether we went on to sort of tricky ones again, but I think probably it's every chance that we have. So sometimes you could have a fraction where you've got, let's go with 1/3 plus 1/5. In fact, let's do so 1/3 plus 1/2. Okay, 1/3 plus 1/2. Now from this one I can see that 2 won't go into 3, and my smallest denominator will not go into my biggest denominator. Okay, my smallest one will not go into my biggest denominator. So what I have to do, I have to convert them both. Okay, I have to convert them both, and I have to find a common denominator, a number both will go into. Now I can do my 2 times table, 2, 4, 6, 8. I'm going to do my 3s, 3, 6, and I can see straight away they both go into 6. Actually, a bit of a cheat, and it's not always the best way to do it, but if you multiply both the denominators together, it will give you that 6. In this case, sometimes it's not always the best way of doing it, but in these ones I think it's probably worth doing that. So I know they can both 2 and 3 will go into 6, so I'm going to turn them both into 6ths. Okay, so I'm going to just do just by the side, or yeah, 1/3 equals how many 6ths? So I'm timesing by 2, timesing by 2, 2/6. So it becomes 2/6. And then I'm going to do 1/2 equals how many 6ths? I'm timesing by 3, timesing by 3, 3/6. 2/6 plus 3/6 equals 5/6. Okay, 5/6. So all I'm doing, I'm just converting both of them. Let's do another one. So we could have 3/4 plus 2/5. Okay, 3/4 plus 2/5. I can see the smaller denominator will not go into the biggest, so I have to find a common denominator. I'm just going to multiply them together. 4 times 5 is 20, so I'm going to use equivalent fractions to 20. How am I going from there to there? I'm timesing by 5, timesing by 5, so it's 15/20. So 3/4, the equivalent fraction is 15/20. Okay, 15/20. I'm going to do the same with the 2/3. I'm going to turn the 2/5 equals how many 20ths? Timesing by 4, timesing by 4, 8/20. 8/20. So each time I've converted both of these, I've converted both of them into equivalent fractions of 20ths. Now it's easy to calculate, okay, because I know that my denominator stays the same, and I just add along my numerators. The top 23. Let's just check. I've got an improper fraction here. I want to turn it into a mixed number. How many 20s in 23? 1, remainder 3. So it becomes, yeah, so that would be my full and clear answer. Okay, just do one more of those. In fact, let's just do, yeah, so we could have, let's do 2/3 minus 1/4. Okay, so again, 3 doesn't go into 4, so I'm going to multiply them together. Let's turn them into 12ths. So I'm going to do 2/3 equals how many 12ths? Times how many? 3 times 4 is 12. I do the same to that. So 2/3, the equivalent for that is 8/12. So I'm just going to put that underneath. Okay. And then 1/4 is how many twelfths when I'm timesing by 3. So I do the same on the top, times by 3. So 1/4 is 3/12. Remembering it's a subtraction. So again, my denominator stays the same. 8 take away 3 is 5. 5/12. Okay, 5/12. Now, you will be doing these. We've done them before Christmas, I think, and we will. No matter what class you're in next year, you will do these next year as well. Okay, so don't worry too much if you don't get them entirely. Okay, now, but you should be able to do these questions here without too much difficulty. Okay, and then the extension questions, they're the ones that involve denominators questions with different denominators. Okay, with both you have to multiply. So these ones you can just turn the thirds into 6, the quarters into 8s, the fifths into 15ths, and so on. Yeah, so these ones you can quite easily convert them just by saying, yeah, but you only have to convert one of the numbers. You only have to, find an equivalent fraction for one of them. But on these extension questions, you have to find the equivalent fraction for both. So good luck with those. Okay, good luck with those. Again, if you've struggled with it, just go back and watch the video again. And certainly watch certain parts of the video about how you find equivalent fractions and go from there. All right, good luck with that. Okay, bye.